on the air with some breaking news this hour. A judge has dismissed the cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. It's coming after that federal judge ruled that a prosecutor was unlawfully appointed to her role. I want to bring in our law enforcement.
All right, so our DOJ dumbfuck Lindsey Halligan is back in the news again, and this time it's not because of her major fuck up that literally just happened last week. This time it's a U.S. judge threw out her cases against James Comey and Letitia James because they deemed she was appointed to her role unlawfully. Lindsey Halligan, who Trump named the interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia in September, had no lawful authority to present the indictment against the former FBI director and New York Attorney General. Judge Cameron McGowan Curry wrote in her opinion, "I conclude that the Attorney General's attempt to install Ms. Halligan as interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was invalid and that Ms. Halligan has been unlawfully serving in that role since September 22nd of 2025. Curry, who was appointed to the bench by Bill Clinton, wrote in her opinion. She added that all actions flowing from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment were unlawful exercises of executive power and must be set aside. Comey was charged with lying to Congress 5 years ago, and Letitia James was charged with mortgage fraud. So I believe Comey was charged for a congressional hearing lying to Congress. This charge is bogus. I don't like Comey, and I'm not going to jump to defend him. But in this particular case, I don't think he's they don't have a case. With Letitia James, it's another bogus charge. I guess she's really close with her niece, so she bought her niece a house, and they tried to find some bogus charge within mortgage fraud. I don't know if I can clue. It's stupid. U.S. attorneys must be confirmed by the Senate. Federal laws allows the Attorney General to appoint someone to serve on an acting basis for 120 days. While a nomination is pending. So, while the nomination was pending, Pam Bondi was allowed to appoint somebody for 120 days. That person that she appointed was Eric Siebert. Eric Siebert was pretty much forced to resign because he was being forced to try Letitia James and James Comey. He knew that the charges were bogus. There was nothing to charge them for. So he was pretty much ousted from his job. He was forced to resign because he knew it was bogus and he didn't want to risk his career on these bogus charges. Once he resigned, that was the person that Pam Bondi appointed. Once he resigned, it was supposed to go to the district court judges, which we'll talk about in a second, to vote and choose who will take that seat. Pam Bondi went over, tried to appoint someone else for another 120 days, which is invalid. She's not allowed to do that. She already appointed Eric Siebert. It should have gone to the district court, but they didn't want that, so Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General, forced Lindsey Halligan into the position, and Lindsey Halligan is a Trump sycophant, so she tried these bogus charges against James and Comey, and they got thrown out because, like I just said, the way that she was appointed was completely invalid. Once that 120-day period is up, the law allows the judges on the district court where the prosecutor handles cases to appoint a top prosecutor. Halligan's predecessor, Eric Siebert, began serving in the role on an interim basis in January. In May, at the end of the 120-day period, the judges in the Eastern District of Virginia chose to extend his appointment. In September, Siebert was forced out of his role, as it reportedly determined there was insufficient evidence to charge James with a crime. That would be Letitia James. Trump installed Halligan, a White House aide, with no prosecutor. I couldn't say that. I have a stroke. Prosecutorial experience in the role, and Comey was indicted on charges of lying to Congress days later. Halligan then indicted James on allegations of mortgage fraud shortly after that. So Eric Siebert was ousted from the role. He was basically forced to resign because he didn't want to try these unlawful charges. They put in a White House aide who has experience as, she's an insurance lawyer, I'm pretty sure. Or she was, and then she was working as like a White House aide. It was like secretary to the office of the White, like it was so like she, and even her experience in law, she was a insurance like defense attorney. I'm pretty sure she has no experience whatsoever trying cases. She has no prosecutorial experience at all. And the first case that she does try against James Comey, she majorly fucks up the indictment to the point where there are huge calls for her to be disbarred. Hello? The Trump administration argued that the Attorney General Pam Bondi could simply revisit someone new every 120 days. But Curry said that would simply allow the Attorney General to indefinitely appoint someone on an interim basis. The text, structure, and history of the law do not support the government's argument, she wrote. Curry dismissed both cases without prejudice, which means the government could theoretically try to bring the cases or the charges again under a properly appointed U.S. attorney. But it is unclear if they could even do that in Comey's case because of the statute of limitations for the crime he is charged with passed on the 30th of September of 2025, this year. So without prejudice, just basically, the prejudice part means like, if you ever heard in the legal system, people talk about like double jeopardy. You can't be charged with the same crime twice. That is prejudice. So if a case is dismissed with prejudice, you cannot be charged with that same crime twice. But if there's a fuck up within the system, it is without prejudice and you just need to fix it and retry it. So they're deeming Lindsey Halligan to be basically a fuck up in the system. They need to fix it and then retry it if they want to do this. But the statute of limitations has passed, and the case is already bullshit from the beginning. Like they should take this and cut their losses because they shouldn't have been doing this to begin with. Like, any judge worth a damn would have poked holes through that case like fucking Swiss cheese. Like it would have been bad for them. Halligan personally presented both cases to the grand jury and has been under intense scrutiny since taking her position. Last week, a judge overseeing the case questioned whether she had properly followed routine procedure in obtaining an indictment in Comey's case. Prosecutors handling the case say they followed appropriate procedure. But they didn't, because they didn't. I did a whole video on how badly she fucked up last week. Like I said, there was mass calls for her all across the internet, from legal punditry to political punditry to legal experts, former judges, former DOJ prosecutors, saying this woman needs to be disbarred or seriously investigated by the ethics committee. So this they should take this and cut their losses, like I said, because Jesus fucking Christ. And that woman does need to, the ethics committee should probably look into Lindsey Halligan. The whole thing from the start was bogus as fuck. The only reason that they're being charged is because Donald Trump has a personal vendetta against the both of them. Letitia James because she was the one who charged him for the 31 felonies he was tried for. Like, she was doing her job. She was assigned a case, because that's what happened. You just get assigned cases, and she did her job. All right. Keep your eyes open, everybody. Have a good night.